now you are a totally different person. You are, quote unquote normal.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So your left arm is functioning.
Yes.
You're sitting.
I can put my shoes on. I have blue jeans on.
So like how long from beginning of treatment to where you got your arm back, you got your leg back, you got your mental clarity, your vision?
Yes.
Like how long of a process was that from starting treatment until you're functional?
So once we put the piece together, what does recovery look like? How do you recover? How long does it take? And Dr. Orsini was fantastic in managing my expectations. Once you start treatment like a binder, and once you're out of the toxic environment, it takes about 12 to 18 months. So a binder is a prescription. In my case, it was a prescription that binds to the mycotoxins and gets them out of your body. So my body, it was like somebody lit a match and put it on my toe, and my body caught on fire from toe to head to toe. And the binder gets in there and it binds. A lot of it happens in your GI tract, and it binds and it starts to detox and get rid of the mycotoxins. That's the key. You've got to get those mycotoxins out of your body. It takes about anywhere from 12 to 18 months. Everybody's recovery is a little bit different. I personally use the Shoemaker protocol, and there's things like a vision test. And if you fail the vision test, you could possibly have mold illness. That was the first thing he had me do, and I failed it tremendously. And the recovery, there's several options, but for me, again, I did the Shoemaker protocol through Dr. Orsini. And on my website, I have a list of all the resources, all of the tests, all of the recovery and therapies that I did. And again, this time last year, I was bedridden. I was in my bed, in a muumuu, crying, next to a heater, and in chronic pain with blurry vision. And so I started recovery in September, and we moved out of our house, had our house remediated professionally. September of 24, yep, we moved out. Started the binder and had to practice patience. 2 months in, I'm like, maybe we got this wrong, maybe this isn't right. But I started going to the sauna and sweating, and there's a number of things, and they're all on my website, all of the different therapies. And I was still having quite a few symptoms, but I'd have a good day, and then a couple bad days, and then another good day. And I remember one day specifically driving with my kids, and the sunroof was open. And for a moment, I realized I don't have any pain. I can see, I know where I'm going. And I put my hands up, threw them out of the sunroof, and was just praising God. My kids looked at me like I was crazy. But for the first time, I knew I was going to be okay. And I wasn't scared, and I was having hints of health and hints of relief. And over the next, through now, just every day gets better and better. And again, there's a number of therapies that I did. Of course, prayer, faith, limiting stress, and then therapies like the sauna. Also, I do lymphatic therapy to help detox. And all of these are on my website. So again, this is a resource for folks that might be trying to figure out, are you suffering from mold? It'll have the tests, all the tests that I took, the protocol that I did, a list of all the things I do. And even now, like, I couldn't drink coffee. It just did me in. Well, now I drink mold-free coffee, and guess what? I'm drinking coffee again. I have changed my lifestyle significantly. I'm very mindful about the environment that I'm in, making sure I'm managing my toxin load, the food that I eat. I mean, all sorts of things. The products that I use, what my kids are doing, what my husband is doing. We're incredibly mindful if there's a leak or even a rainstorm in our new home. I think it's also really important to share, you don't have to live in an old home to have mold. We were in a new build and had a water leak. And unfortunately, our builder said he fixed it. And while he may have fixed the roof and the leak, he didn't fix the sheetrock. And that's where all of this set up. And it wasn't like the whole house was covered in mold. There was a significant amount, but it was enough to make us sick. So don't be fooled just thinking, oh, I live in a brand new home, I don't have mold. That's not always the case.
Wow. So you start the treat. Okay, I'm curious. So like, but maybe it took a couple months for you to start to kind of notice a difference from like.
Yeah, 3 months.
To like.
I started to notice a difference about 3 months into treatment. That's when I started having a couple of good days, and it was just enough to keep me hanging on, to keep with the protocol, keep with it. And then I would say 7 months out, I hit my stride, and I knew I was getting better. And I didn't have any trouble wearing like Lululemon pants with a waistband on them anymore. I was able to carry a backpack without trouble, seatbelt, not a problem. And I mean, still to this day, I'm sensitive. Like I was sharing earlier, if I go into a building and there's a lot of mold, my body picks up on it. And I might have a rough day, but then I'll go to the sauna, I'll work to really detox. I also do a foot detox. It's like a foot soak, and it pulls out and helps you understand kind of what's going on in your body and pull out toxins. So some of this stuff might seem a little woo-woo, but I have done a mix of conventional and integrative therapies that work for me in my recovery. And I am a walking testimony to the fact that mold illness is real. And I think that's something else that was very upsetting to me. Nobody brought up mold. We ruled everything out, but nobody else was bringing up mold. And that's what is making me sick. So it is my hope that I can educate folks or just put this out there as a possibility so that you don't have to go through the 11 months of doctor visits, scans, appointments, ruling things out, being scared, being sick, that if this is what's happening to you, that maybe you only have to spend 3 months figuring it out, not 11. And I know that there's people that have been going on years on this. I'm lucky, but I was a bulldog on this. I was so sick, but I was not gonna concede to the fact that I have chronic pain and that's how life is now, or this is old age and oh, you have to wear readers now, your vision shot. I didn't buy it and I didn't settle for it. And like I said, that was a really dark, long season for me, but I'm on the other side. And that's why I'm doing this. This is why I'm telling this story and sharing my symptoms and sharing my struggles and the resources and therapies that I use to recover, because I don't think enough people are talking about it. And this is not intended to be fear-mongering. I am a well-educated, sound-minded woman that was robbed of my body and mind by mold in our home. It's wild. I mean, I can't believe that that was my reality. I'm so thankful I didn't receive a terminal diagnosis. This could have been much worse, but it was still pretty bad. But I'm on the other side of it, and I'm hopeful and compelled to share this so that others don't have to go through what I went through and can find relief sooner. And now looking back at this, I hated every minute of it, but it's such a juxtaposition because I'm grateful for it, because where I am now and my outlook and the adjustments that have been made in my life, it made no sense to me, but it's not mine to make sense of. And I know that God is working his purpose out through me, or for me rather. And I want to share this as a means to help others. If you're suffering from mold illness or CIRS, do the homework, do the testing if you can. Get yourself out of that environment and start healing through detox. And yeah.
Well, That's so powerful. I'm just listening and soaking it all in.
You know what? I should share a little bit about my husband and my son.
Yeah, that was the follow-ups. So what was their recovery and just about that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you look at my husband and my son, they had different symptoms. And what I'm finding out through this is everybody has, it might look a little different for people. For my husband, it was really in his sinuses and in his breathing. But I found out through the work with my doctor that men don't get hit as hard sometimes because of testosterone, where women seem to get hit even harder. And while I did have a burning sinus sensation at the height of this last summer, I didn't have a whole lot of like sinus issues. I did have breathing issues where I'd be short of breath, right? And my heart rate would go up. But for my husband, it was a lot of breath and sinus stuff and just incredible fatigue. And then in children, come to find out if they have CIRS, it's often seen in ADHD, which my little boy did not have. Irritability, absolutely he did. And then you can have depression, and he had bumps all over his body at certain times. So it showed up different in different people.
So it shows up as ADHD?
It can. In some kids, if they have prolonged mold exposure and they get sick from it, they can display ADHD tendencies. Which for my kiddo, he didn't. You know, he's laser focused on his comic books, no problem there. But he, in fact, was suffering from it. But the great news is my husband, who also went through the protocol, did the binder, did the detox, he is 100% now. We're here. We've been out of that house now for almost a year, out of the environment and detoxing, and he's 100%. It's remarkable. But we didn't put all of this together that it was the mold. We thought long COVID, you know, okay, little boy, he's irritable, he's growing up. Okay, now mom is sick with whatever she is sick with, all of these wild symptoms, and it was mold all along. Whoa. Yeah. And it was several different types of mold too, you know? It doesn't have to, I mean, there is black mold, and we did have black mold. But yeah, it's scary and it lurks, and I just don't think people are aware of it enough. And I did have several physicians, again, tell me I was a psych case, that I needed to get on medicines to treat that. You know, my anxiety was just through the roof. I was told I had health anxiety.
That you were just worried about being sick, so you made yourself sick. So that's like, it's like the new form of like hypochondria.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I know that like I've dealt with crazy anxiety for various reasons. It's very much in the past, but so you're talking about the heart racing and all that stuff. I'm like, I empathize, and that shot me back. But did you ever learn or try to learn of like what it was about what's actually making you sick that would cause the symptoms?
Oh yeah.
Like why would your why would you wake up in the middle of the night with your heart race? Do you ever have answers for any of that kind of stuff, or is that just kind of like that's just what you experience and that's just your story?
Yeah. So why did my body react this way? Why was I having the symptoms that I was having? And ultimately, what it is toxin overload. Right? My body just couldn't handle. I was just being bombarded with toxins from the mold, and my body I had all these mycotoxins in my body, and that explains like why I was peeing up to 60 times a day, right? Your heart rate can go up. It's all this inflammation, and it goes back to that total system deregulation because your body is trying to lower the level of mycotoxins that it can't function properly. Like your optic nerve is affected. That's why my vision was like bonkers overnight. I was like, oh, maybe it's because I'm in my 40s now. Nope, it was the mycotoxins. The blood clotting, mycotoxins. And I'm so happy to report that after a year and a half of my D-dimer being 2 times, 3 times what it was, my blood was clotting, that I'm free and clear. My D-dimer is back within range, and my blood is no longer clotting. I did microclotting testing, which confirmed that. But it just gets in there and it wreaks havoc. Your systems can't regulate. My nervous system was really impacted. A lot of my neurological functions, hence the retracted arm, the dragging of the leg. I mean, I look like a stroke victim. And they were like, is this myelitis? Did she have a stroke? Did she have TIA? There was none of that. But then my symptoms kept getting worse.
So you said it took like 3 months to start to see signs. So it was like what was the first thing that came back? Was it like your arms that came back, or was it kind of like all gradual at once, or did you have?
Yeah. The pain became less and less prominent and eased up a little bit. And then I was able to put my foot in my shoe, and the zinging subsided some. And then I would have moments of great clarity and feeling healthy and feeling well, even if just for 5 minutes. And then really when I was able to start wearing clothes again and underwear and bra, stuff that was restrictive, that was a huge sign for me. Huge. Because again, for 11 months, I was in muumuus. I couldn't wear anything. It was just, and I'd wear shorts, but I have to roll them way down, and then I'd wear a big long shirt over them to pick up my kids from school. I had days, even when my mom was so great, she would come and help us with the kids, that I think she was doubting my sanity. And I don't blame her. I was going crazy, and I was incredibly depressed. But my body was under attack. And again, all my systems were affected, and I just kept breathing it in, and I just kept exposing myself to it, and my body couldn't take it anymore. And I had been in that environment, for 2-3 years, worrying about my sick husband, trying to keep everything afloat. My stress was high, and then I got sick. I got a virus in August. And when I look back, even in September of that year, my arm was kind of weak, and so I went to the ER. And that's how all this started. My arm was weak, and I went to the ER, and they're like, no stroke, you're good, but go to cardiology, check it out. And cardiology did a big workup on me in September of 2023, did a nuclear stress test on me, maybe a little unnecessary, but given my dad's heart history, he said, let's do this. So I got a radioactive shot in my left arm. I don't know if the radioactive shot was the best idea, but I didn't know any better. Looking back, I probably wouldn't have done it. And then in October rather, I did notice that my hips were hurting. But I thought, maybe it's because I'm getting older. I just chalked it up to that. But there were little hints, little whispers of this. And then again, my vision was kind of declining. And I'm like, 40, I had to take my iPhone and go to the old people view. I shouldn't say old people. I had to take my iPhone and go to the big font. And then in November, I went to Salt Lake City for a concert with my husband. And I noticed I was short of breath. I kind of chalked it up to the altitude. But then I noticed when I was walking up the stairs of the concert venue, I was totally gassed. And I was fit. I wasn't gassed. Something more was going on. And so at this point, looking back, my threshold was, about to be crossed, and that it was at the end of November when I was on that airplane that the cup ran over. The mycotoxins just took over. And then again, I was laying in bed, breathing it in, month after month, week after week, day after day, and just getting sicker and sicker. I mean, I was a frequent flyer at all the doctor's offices, right? Trying to rule this out. Is it this? Is it that? What is it? And it was mold.